And we are back. Brian Broad is feeling fresh and rejuvenated and ice bathed and all that. Shouts out to anybody that was listening to the radio, tuned in the G-Bag today. They know what's going on. If not, go watch the replay and all that. Support Brian Broad and everything that he does.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
For sure.
All right, you ready for this?
Hey,
Friday night.
This is
Friday night question night, right?
Friday night Q&A. I put out the post earlier, and people asked some questions. There was a lot of questions on there. I pulled the best ones, and of course I have mine. But Brian got his, and you know Brian gonna hit us upside the head with his. So Brian, please kick us off, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Voch. I appreciate that. And again, I want to thank everybody that I do go through and read all your comments, good or bad, and I try and the ones I like, I'll hit the thumb button, and then the ones that I need to answer, I'll answer. But I do appreciate you guys trying to engage with us. That's important to me. I know it's important to Voch. Yeah. We're trying to grow this thing into great things, and we got some big plans for you going forward that we're really, really excited about that we're working on. And so stay tuned for all that. But Voch, right off the gate, who are you scared of more in this game or more concerned of? TJ Watt or George Pickens?
That's a fantastic question, Brian Ross.
I try my best. I take my cues from you on asking these questions.
It's a fantastic question, Brian. TJ Watt is definitely their most dangerous player on defense. He's ridiculous, Brian. Probably defensive player of the year caliber. Done it before. He's always top 5 in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's particularly terrifying because of what you got going on with 60 and 78. He is particularly terrifying in that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian, I tell you what, Chase Young didn't necessarily kill us. Myles Garrett didn't necessarily kill us.
Yeah.
Carl Granderson beat the hell out of us, but at least Chase and Myles didn't,
He did. Yeah.
I think we kind of, especially with the quarterback and how he gets rid of the football, I think we kind of have a feel for how to deal with these top tier defensive end guys. I think something that'll benefit us is, and I don't know why Steelers do Cowboys stuff, but they leave TJ Watt in one spot. They don't move around. I think if they move TJ Watt around, he'd be even more dangerous. But I'm just doing it with a camera and a microphone. I don't know nothing, Brian. So I think that as an offense, you will be able to manage him a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
The big play on offense terrifies me, Brian. The big play on offense terrifies me a little bit. And they don't move TJ Watt around, Brian, but just Voch says this. What if they put George Pickens on the other side that's not Trey Diggs' side, What if they find a way to, kind of like they did with Neighbors last week, right? Neighbors ended up on everybody. Neighbors ended up on Jordan Lewis. He ended up on Overshown. He ended up, Trey, of course, but he was all over the place. And, you kind of got whooped at cornerback too for a while, right? So I don't know if Kalen Carson's going to be healthy for you.
Doesn't look good, brother.
So you running Booth, Aurier, and Israel McComu out there again, and they all took turns running around clapping their hands. So I think if the Pittsburgh Steelers use George Pickens properly, I think he could be a bigger problem for you.
Let me throw another twist on that one then.
Please.
You said the offensive guys worry you. Pickens or Fields?
I think Justin Fields running is a big part of his game.
Yeah.
But I think if you just kind of deal with him running, I think you can live with him passing. I think George Pickens is going to always be dangerous for you. George Pickens is going to always be dangerous. George Pickens is so dangerous, even if Justin Fields ain't good, George Pickens can be good for you. Even if the pass isn't accurate, George Pickens can still bring a way to bring it in for you. So I just think matchup-wise, right? Justin Fields versus my whole defense, or George Pickens versus, if they use him correctly, Andrew Booth or Aurier or Israel. I think George Pickens is still the more dangerous character in that lineup.
Okay. I kind of felt like that if it came down to Watt and Fields, do you feel any different? Is it still Fields because it's still Fields because you feel like you can handle the edge?
If it's Watt and Fields, then maybe I'll take Watt. Maybe I'll take Watt over Fields. I think Fields and his skill set, like if you just address like, hey, he can run around, he can throw around a little bit. But I think Lamar Jackson does everything that he does better than him, right? And and we faced Lamar Jackson before. We didn't do great, but we've at least seen a better version of Justin Fields before. I think TJ Watt scares me a little more than Fields, but George Pickens scares me a little more than TJ Watt just because of cornerback 2 and what's going on there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like to me that, you're in a situation right now. Those are their best players. I mean, maybe even can throw, Cam Hayward in there as well. Maybe you could throw him in there and be a little bit concerned about, but he's going up against Tyler Smith.
Sure.
So, you feel like, okay, the matchups that you can handle, it seems like you're putting your best. I feel so much better about if Steele is dealing with Watt.
Sure.
More so than Guyton dealing with Watt. But watch Terrell Austin put Watt over on the other side and just say, you know what, we're gonna rush it over there and see what happens. We're gonna draw holding calls and but Watt's got to feel comfortable doing what he's doing.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Watt has got to feel comfortable rushing. And if you put him over on the right side and it's a different rush angle, it's a different way of attacking. There's a lot of different things. It's kind of like, well, hey, just play the right tackle at left tackle.
Sure.
It's footwork. It's hand placement. There's a different stance. There's a lot of things kind of going on there that you kind of need to be worried about.
Sure.
But if you told me, just Steele in this game, be big.
Yeah.
Just be big. And, there's going to be times where he's going to give up a pressure, but man, the Colts did a hell of a job of handling that guy last week.
Yeah.
Running the ball at him, chipping him, single blocking him. You just don't want him wrecking the game.
Sure.
You just don't want him wrecking the game. So
sure.
That's kind of where I'm at with that one.
Man, I can't wait till the draft season. We have to put offensive tackle in the conversation. I can't wait till we do it. Man, Brian Bros, I was looking, reading the news, man. And we'll talk about the big news later, but
yeah,
we kind of light at wide receiver here, Brian. And Ryan Flournoy is going to be active. And boy, Brian, this is something that Voch has been calling for a while, man. Like, hey, let's see what Flo got. But Brian Voch says this: Ryan Flournoy will be active.
Right.
But I don't think he's going to get much usage on offense. True or false? Flournoy is active, Brian, because, people get hurt. Flournoy is active. But I don't think he's going to have a big role in this offense. I think we're a little too excited. He's not going to have a big role. Right, Brian? True or false?
I think that's probably true. And my gut feeling is that Turpin is going to take some of the quickness snaps that Cooks has. Those kind of the quick plays, the quick routes, maybe some stuff from the slot. I could very well see Brooks. I could see Tolbert. I could see Lamb. I could see Ferguson. And I could see Turpin. I will say this. I would be interested in Flournoy if they're going to try, if this turns into, let's put some big bodies out there.
Yes.
And crack toss this thing and block on the edge. And, the things that I struggle with Tolbert.
Blocking.
I'd like to see, and people out there, I'm sure, are like, damn, Brian, guy's a wide receiver. He ain't a tight end. He ain't a tackle. But you know what? They run plays. You look at the good running teams.
San Francisco's receivers, block their ass off.
Yes. Look at what those star wide receivers do at some of these places.
Sure.
They block. The running game gets sprung because they get a wide receiver block. Something on the edge, they get a block, and it's a wide receiver that gets the block. They've been asking Tolbert to do things right now that he's not capable of doing.
Yep.
He's not capable. You know, they ask him, oh, well, hey, you crack. You be the guy, the lead block on the smoke screen,
sure.
Or you do, you know, we're gonna toss the ball and you're gonna have to. He's shown me that he right now, as we speak, can't get that job done. Okay, put that big 6'3" guy in there and see if he can do some stuff. And it might turn into, well, damn, Brian, every time he's in the game, they're running the ball. Mm-hmm. Okay, but make it work and see if he could do it, because you don't know. You might get to the end of this game and you might need to be running the football,
sure.
You know, and doing stuff like that. Yeah. And you might need somebody other in there than Tolbert, you know, who's going to – the last thing you want to get is a damn holding call, sure. Or some kind of crazy-ass penalty that sets you back. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not – I would like to see. I would just like to see it. To your point, to your question, true. I don't know how much offensive stuff he's actually going to play, because I think they're going to use Turpin in some of the roles, the quick roles that they use Cooks in.
I think Flournoy is one of your only true X receivers in terms of like build and body and like what that job, you know, asks for. I think Flournoy is one of the only guys that does it. But Brian, entertain me though. Humor me this. Voch says this, right? Mm-hmm. Man, let's say, Brian, this ain't gonna happen, man. This will never happen, Brian. Not versus Pittsburgh. This will never happen, Brian. But let's just say, look, Voch says this: the next few games. Yeah, they said they're expecting Brandon Cooks to be out a few games.
We asked Stephen Jones that question today, and I appreciate you listening.
Sure.
He said a few. He didn't say this week. Mm-hmm. He said a few. Yeah.
Brian, what if Flournoy thrives in that job?
Sure.
Does he take Brandon Cook's job? Does Brandon Cooks just go back to his job?
It's kind of like the time when you asked me if Chuma Edoga should be playing for Guyton.
Sure.
And I sat there and I was like poo-pooing your idea. And then I'm thinking, well, damn, you know, if they could get some stability over there, you know, maybe it'd look a little different, you know. But I think, and I told you this, he's the future. Guyton's the future. And maybe Flournoy will be the future one day.
Sure.
Maybe he'll be the future. But I am, there used to be a kind of an unwritten rule that if you were injured, you never lost your job. Mm-hmm. Man, say hello, Tony Romo.
Yeah.
You know, hello, Tony Romo. You know, that to me, if you're winning games because Ryan Flournoy's making 4 catches for 48 yards and has 3 key blocks that gets him a Buckeye on his helmet for blocking, you know, something like that. Gets a helmet sticker, you know, for doing that. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry, man. I'm loyal. The only thing I'm loyal to is winning.
Sure.
That's what I'm loyal to. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be that guy. No, I take that back. I mean to be that guy.
Gotta be.
You know, I'm not interested in your feelings right now. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in winning football games. Yeah. You know, and if you're telling me that Ryan Flournoy is getting 4 catches a game for 50 yards or a little more, and then all of a sudden he's having 3 key Buckeye blocks for his helmet stickers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Cooks. You know, and unfortunately, you know, the thing about Cooks, everywhere he's been, they figured it out for him.
Sure.
Everywhere but here.
Yeah.
It appears. Everywhere but here. So, yes, to your question, yes. But you know what? I'm still trying to see Dalvin Cook, knowing that the guy who is, you know, Ezekiel Elliott probably needs to be sit down. Probably needs to be to watch this son of a gun go off on Sunday night.
Because
and I would be happy. I mean, and I'd be happy to eat crow. Yeah. I mean, I will eat crow. I'll have crow burgers, you know, crow dogs, whatever you want me to have. But I'll tell you what, if Dalvin Cook, there comes a point in time here where we need to see what Dalvin Cook is. Yeah. Is it the line or is it
scheme,
the running back room? Or is it the running back room?
Yep.
You know, because they keep telling me, the metrics people, and I'm embracing the metrics people, by the way.
Sure.
I didn't have this in 1992, as everybody knows. Yeah. But I'm embracing this expected yards kind of a deal.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder what expected yards are, because the play doesn't always look like it's blocked to go 6 yards. It looks like it's blocked to go about 3, and that's kind of what they get.
Sure.
But they tell me that play should have gone 6.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, my scout eyes are telling me it should have gone 3, but I'll take your expected word for it.
Sure.
So, but I need to see Dalvin Cook too. Yeah. If let's say this though, you find a way and it doesn't work. You lose at Pittsburgh, you lose to Detroit, you get to the bye, you go to San Francisco, you lay an egg. There needs to be a lot of changes then.
Sure.
There needs to be a lot of changes. We'll start honing in on, well, this is the kind of things they need to be looking at the draft. Yeah. And so-and-so needs to be playing more, and this guy needs to be playing less, because we're not winning, and I don't have time for your feelings, kind of a thing. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Good job answering that.
I appreciate that. Hey, Voch, tell me this.
Yes, sir.
I'll bring Pickens back up in this because I think he is one of their better offensive players.
Sure.
Who will have a better stat line, Pickens or Lamb, in this game?
That's a damn good question, Brian. I tell you what'll happen, Brian.
Damn right, it's a damn good question because I asked it.
That's a good question. I think Pickens will make a few big plays, because I just think that's what our defense is right now when it's injured like this. I think Lamb is going to have so much more volume, though. I think once Lamb gets going, man, whoever cusses somebody out, Lamb goes for 40 yards. Somebody get cussed out the next week, Lamb go for 90 yards and 30 rushing. I don't know what the hell be going on when these changes be happening, Brian.
God, I wish I still worked in scouting over there to know all these answers.
I'll go ask, Brian. If I was over there, I'll go ask, man. But I think the Cowboys, the offensive coaches, let me be specific. The offensive coaches, I think, are starting to get the message, man. I don't know if they listening to us, but they listening to them. They listening to their guys, and they found a way to get CeeDee Lamb going last week. Now that's the Giants, but we've been bad too. But I think the Cowboys will find a way to get CeeDee Lamb going. I think he's going to get a ton more targets. I don't want all those targets to be hitches though, Brian. But if we can just give him a lot more targets, then we'll be good to go, Brian.
So you think his stat line will be better than Pickens?
Yes, sir. I think CeeDee Lamb's stat line will be better than Pickens. And mostly because I think that Dak is a better quarterback than Justin Fields.
Yeah. See, this is where this game needs to really be won.
Yep.
Your guy needs to be better, because your guy throws the ball better than their guy.
Sure.
Their guy is going to have to run it. If he's going to beat you, it's going to be running the football.
Yeah.
You messed up. Your fits were bad. You didn't get off blocks. You allowed a rookie center and a rookie guard to beat up on you. If that's the case, shame on you.
Yeah.
If you let this Pittsburgh Steeler offense, and the fact that they're going to be down Warren and Patterson as well. Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, come on. Just nut up and go play run defense in this thing.
Sure.
Just go. Don't let them control this game with the running game. Just don't. Arthur Smith, he's a stubborn son of a gun.
Sure.
The way he calls plays, but maybe our guy's stubborn too. The way he calls plays.
Brian,
look at this. What is this? Whose route chart is this?
Somebody shared me with this. Shouts out to Six Blackhawks. He says, "Bring it back, McCarthy. This was last year versus the Eagles." Now, Brian brought us. Boy, look, don't this look nice? Don't this just look great? Ain't this better? Ain't this better than the nonsense we've been? Ain't that better? Man, Brian, somebody sent me this. I'm like, man, this don't even look like something we've even done. This don't even look like something that we've done for real.
It's just, I thought it was Deebo Samuel's route chart when I first looked at it.
191 yards, 59 and yak. He didn't get a touchdown this game. He didn't even need it. If we get one of them, if we could just do this some more, Brian, please, be good to go.
Yeah. Yep, good to go. That's a good one. That's a good share right there. That's a good share right there. Hey, Voch, let me ask you another question.
Hell yeah.
You and I talk every night about this football team.
So do.
Is there somebody we're not talking about that's going to be the star in this game? It's going to be the difference maker?
Man, Brian, I think we're so damn good at our job. I think we exhaust every single angle of anything that can happen on this team, man. And I think if there's anybody that could be a star, it'll be somebody that hasn't touched the field just yet. It'll have to be one of those people. As far as the guys that we're not talking about, I don't think there's a dude that we haven't covered, Brian. I really think this comes down to your head coach calling plays. I don't think or your defense playing better. I think we've exhausted this thing. We were like, hey, why ain't Overshown on the field? Hey, can Flournoy get a little bit more? Hey, what's going on at cornerback too? We've covered all the. Why is Mozzie starting? We've covered all the bases, Brian. Trust me. I don't think there's. Do you think there's somebody we ain't talking about?
I wonder. You're right, but I wonder if this is one of those crazy games. And I don't know. I need to ask this question before, but I'm going to say it since we're on a Friday night with the Q&A. I wonder if Henry is going to get some burn in this game. KJ Henry. I wonder if he's going to get. And all of a sudden, it's like we talked about him as a poach. Mm-hmm. You know, we said, hey, they poach. Stephen Jones told us today that they were interested in claiming this guy.
Let me cut you off for once, Brian. Why did he get a 2-year deal? Like, did they like him that much? Why did he get a 2-year deal?
Yeah, they liked it. What I tell you, I need to talk to somebody. God, I wish I would have. My radio show gets in my way of this show is what happens. I don't get to ask these.
That's why I'm here, Brian.
But the thing that we need to ask. This is my gut. Brian says that they had to do a 2-year deal, that they liked the guy, but to get him to leave Cincinnati, they had to give him more insurance. And more insurance in a way of an opportunity for if he comes on a 1-year deal,
sure.
If he comes on a 1-year deal, it's
not
like,
worth his while.
After 3 weeks, they can kick him to the curb.
Sure.
Now he's got a little equity.
Sure.
I think I used the right term there.
Sure.
I think he's got a little equity because if they kick him to the curb,
insurance is what it is, bro. He got insurance.
He got insurance. Yeah. Kill insurance. But he built up a little, like, if after 3 weeks, they have to keep him for 3 weeks after a poach.
Sure.
And so, if they kick him to the curb after 3 weeks, well, he's, where does he go from here? Mm-hmm. But if you're a little bit hesitant to kick a guy to the curb that you put money into. Look at Span Ford. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Span Ford, wake me up when that one happens, but they put a little money in Span Ford.
Yeah.
And so I think, to me, to get him to leave for his agent probably asked for a 2-year deal, and they like the kid.
Yeah.
They like the kid. He's a 5th-round pick, and, the Commanders took him, and, Jeff Zagina, the coach, he had him in Washington.
Sure.
So he knows the kid a little bit. Zagina might not be here, but man, that kid sounds like he's going to be here. I just wonder if we haven't talked about him other than getting poached and potentially getting an opportunity to play.
I watched his film and he wasn't all that inspiring, but he played a ton of teams though, I don't think this is a team signing. Brian, do you so Tyrus Wheat or Tyrus Wheat or KJ Henry? Who do you think will have a bigger impact?
I think, to me, that Wheat is probably a better pass rusher. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Wheat can play the run better than this guy. Mm-hmm. And so, but you're going to need pass rushers in this thing too. Because we talked about this the other night. You're going to need Nealon to play. You're going to need Nealon to help you some way. Yeah. Somebody has got to show up. I mean, it'd be nice if it was Osa inside against the center and the guard, and it'd be nice. Mozzie hasn't had a pressure this year and 50 pass rushes. It would be nice if they can control the middle, and maybe you get a couple of wins with a Mozzie win or for sure an Osa win. But pass rush is going to have to come from some place that we didn't expect it to come from.
Sure.
And Stephen Jones was talking with Zimmer, and he put something out to us today on the segment we had him, that he was talking with Zim, and Zim's got some ideas. Mm-hmm. So when Zim and ideas, could that be more slot blitz? Could that be, that's Jordan Lewis? Could there be more safety blitz? Could there be Donovan Wilson coming down, rushing, timing that thing up? The one thing that we kept hearing at training camp, you and I were doing those shows every night from training camp, and we kept hearing disguise. There was a lot of disguise. Everybody's disguising. Man, Dak, I'm seeing a lot of disguise. Maybe this is the opportunity of a guy that might not be really good at reading disguise. And now you're messing with him a little bit, but he'll mess with you running the ball. You know what I'm saying? So it's got to be somebody. It's got to be somebody coming up with some pressure when they get that opportunity. I'd love for Nealon to have a couple of sacks and kind of get that feeling of what it's like to get that done. That would do my heart some good.
Do you think Osa gets a contract from the Cowboys next season?
Okay. Nick Harrison.
And would he get one from you if you was in charge? Go ahead.
Okay. You and I've talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about it on this level. Osa Odighizuwa is a great college player. And I say it in this way. Week 13 is about it for him. Mm-hmm. When you say college player, they kind of play the season, they get in the bowl game, and then they're done. Yeah. He needs to not be just a week 13 player, just up to a week 13. Week 14, week 15, week 16, week 17. We still got season left, man.
Sure.
Come on. But he gets wore down. He does. He plays his ass off and he gets wore down. That's why I say he's a great college player, because for 13 weeks, he's pretty damn good. Yeah. I have my doubts because it's happened to him a couple of different times. And he started off kind of slow this year. But so is Mozzie Smith, and so has Linville Joseph, and so everybody who's played defensive tackle has, it's the way they're having to play right now with Osa is not conducive to how Osa needs to play.
Sure.
When people are hammering Osa run blocking, and he's having to fight that all day, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. When you let him rush the passer, that's when he shows up. But me personally, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that I really have my doubts about if I would extend him. And Nick Harris said this today on the break when we were on this morning. He says these next 3 to 4 weeks are really important for Osa, especially with no Tank and no Micah. Yeah. Somebody has to step up and be that guy that's filling the void. And if Osa just goes by the wayside the next 3 weeks, you'll know your answer. It'll be closer to, okay, when we really, really, really needed him, he was unable to deliver.
Man, Brian, I think Osa's really good at whooping people, but I don't think he gets the football side of it just yet, or rather the D-line side of it.
Sure.
Like after you whoop somebody, you just can't run around in a circle. You got to go find the football, go make a tackle. Yeah. Osa will destroy. He's a great disruptor. I just want to see him take that next step mentally as a football player. Somebody asked me, Voch, do you think Osa's just a big edge guy? And I was like, he's 280 and he's swole as hell. He's not a fat guy, nothing like that. I mean, maybe, he's maybe
he's a swimsuit model down there in Miami. My man's walking the catwalk with the ladies and stuff. So
maybe he should, maybe
he might be doing that full time. He might be doing that full time if he, he doesn't. They need him.
They do.
Gosh, I mean, they need him, and it's hard to talk bad about him. I threw a lot of dirt on him just a minute ago.
Sure.
But he does. He plays his ass off, and prove me wrong. Mm-hmm. Plays his ass off for 13 weeks, and then week 14 and week 15 and week 16, you're kind of like, where's Osa? Where's Osa been? where's Osa been? And that right there, I think that's the thing that I think they have to ask themselves is, why does he play well for a certain period and then kind of fade into the background?
I got another question for you, Brian, from one of our beloved listeners. I think we have really smart listeners, and this one comes from Car and G. I think that's a couple's YouTube page. There's two of them in the picture, Brian. So I'm gonna say Car.
Okay, Car and G.
Car and G says this: why don't we use Trey Lance like the Saints use Taysom Hill? Trey's clearly one of our more athletic players, and if he can't get it done in the passing game mentally just yet, maybe he could get reps doing other things, Brian. Why don't we use Trey Lance like the Saints use Taysom Hill? I would even say that Trey is a better athlete or a better looking athlete than Taysom Hill. Why don't we use him like
that? Okay. It's a really good question because it makes a lot of sense. Because we talk about creativity. We talk about things that you can do to kind of put stress on opponents. And that would put stress on opponents if you had a guy that was a threat to run the ball. Dak at one time was a threat to run the ball. I don't know how much I want Dak Prescott running the ball, but you can do things with Trey. You can hand him the ball potentially. He's not the biggest guy in the world. I mean, he's a tall, kind of thin guy, as you know. He's elusive. He's got some good run ability. Taysom Hill is a battering ram. If you ask me to use a guy like Taysom Hill, Hunter Lipke's the Taysom Hill. I mean, snap him the ball and just let him go
up A gap. Just run him up A gap. Yeah.
Just power sweep with him, like direct snap, power sweep.
Sure.
Hunter Lipke. That Trey to me, the problem you run into is a coach or an organization that has a plan for a guy like this. Okay, you make him the active guy. Are you going to make him the active? Are you going to carry three quarterbacks, on game day? See, that's the question you have to run into yourself, because if you just make him the second quarterback,
sure,
and you make Rush the third, if something happens to Dak, you're immediately having to go.
We're going to lose anyway, bro. We losing anyway.
Okay, yeah. And it was the great Tom Moore that said one time when they were talking about when he was in Indianapolis and someone asked him, well, what are you going to do if Peyton Manning gets hurt? And he goes, we don't work on effed. Yeah. We don't work on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. The great Tom Moore still coaching him up down in Tampa. But see, that's where you have to make that determination. You're 48. I mean, sure, there are guys you could sit at the 48. I mean, you and I go through guys we'd sit every week.
Yeah.
And get opportunity. But you'd have to be committed to a plan like that. And Bones Fossil will fight you unless you want to put Trey Lance on some special team stuff, because if you look at Taysom Hill, he plays special team stuff. So if you want to, I'd put Trey Lance back there as a kickoff return guy.
You're damn straight. Yeah.
Just something, if you want to, just the threat of him catching the ball and throwing it across the field to somebody to set up, just the fake would be awesome.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I could be wrong, but doesn't Trey Lance make more money than Taysom Hill too, or something like that?
Yeah, $5 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing about it. When you start to say we couldn't afford Henry.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, they're not lying to you, because they're paying Zeke $10 million.
Damn.
Because 8 of it's dead money, 2 of it is actual money. And then you've got $5 million or a little over, I believe I'm right about this, with Trey Lance as your third quarterback. So he's making more than Cooper Rush, I believe.
That's a damn. Yeah, he is for sure.
Yeah.
5th year option, man. Or that third overall.
It does, if you had a Sean McVay or if you had a,
but we got Mike McCarthy. We got
I think Sean Payton does it. I think Sean Payton did it because Sean Payton wanted to prove he was the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I think Sean Payton did it. I think, I took this Taysom Hill. I found him, Sean, you're full of, what?
Yeah.
I love him though.
Trey Lance
what's his contract? Was he $5 million? I can't. It's small print for me. What is that?
5.5. I just lost the daggone thing, but yeah, it was 5 point something, 5.3 or something like that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you won it. Go ahead, Brian. Thank you.
No, I was just saying, but like coaches would think of things like that. Coaches sometimes but every day, what do we talk about? We talk about the things they don't try and do. If you didn't have the opportunity to watch other offenses play, you probably wouldn't be all over McCarthy's ass about stuff.
Sure.
but you have the opportunity to watch the Lions and the 49ers, and hell, I watched the Packers lose their quarterback, and they switched their offense completely around. Just said,
and won a game.
We're not going to throw it. We're just going to play read option college football.
Yeah.
And they won games. They won games doing it, and I'm like, man, that's what it's all about right there.
Mike McCarthy's bad at this. Go ahead, Brian. Do you have another question for me, Brian?
Go ahead. You got one for me? You got one?
Yeah, I got a little something right here. Let's see.
Go ahead.
I thought this was an interesting one. 676TW says this: has anybody from the organization ever tried to silence you because you were too loud about something you had an opinion about? I know, Parcells and you bumped heads a little bit, but like,
yeah, I got fired because of Parcells. Well, my contract. I guess I got fired because my contract ran out.
Sure.
And to this day, I'll tell the story if I can real quick.
Please. Jeff
Ireland took over for my boss, Larry Lacewell.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, Lace left the organization. He'd had enough of Parcells. Mm-hmm. And Parcells really ran him off. And once Larry got run off, then I was going to be next, is how that was going to work out. My contract was up. But Jeff Ireland, who took over Lace's spot, and that was Bill's handpicked guy. Matter of fact, Tom Siskowski and I'll never forget when Lace left, I walked into Tom's office and I looked at him, he goes, man, I'm glad you came in here. I got a question for you. And I go, what do you got? He goes, you and I good? And I'm like, I was coming here to ask the same thing if you and I were good. And he goes, okay, I just want to make sure. I go, Tom, I don't think I'm getting this job. And he goes, I don't think I'm getting this job either. And later, Tom did get the job after Jeff left. But we were kind of like, are we good? It's like, are we going to be all right if, one of us gets this job and, the other can stay? And we were both good with each other. This day, Tom and I are still friends. But Jeff was very fair with me. He said, listen, he goes, I want to keep you around if Brian Gain, who ended up coming as Brian Gain, had an opportunity to go to San Francisco or come to Dallas. And Jeff told me if Gain goes to San Francisco, he wants me to stay around. And he was fair. He was very fair about it. He told me. And then, like 3 weeks later, Brian made the decision to come to Dallas, and then I was out of a gig. But I've never been silenced or asked not to say something. Now, I will tell you this. One time in a meeting, we were, it was Larry Lacewell, Dave Campo, and myself. This is the only time that I got threatened. And we signed Felipe Sparks.
Who?
Felipe Sparks.
Okay.
Corner, played a long time in the league, was the Giants. His daughter was the Sparks that was the singer on American Idol, I guess, or something like that. I think that's, Sparks, Felipe Sparks. Okay, cool. And so anyway, I remember fighting because I'm like, this guy can't play. He's retired. He doesn't want to play football. And Dave was like really, really excited about it. Campo was excited. I'm like, this guy doesn't want to play football. He just doesn't. And so they sent me to the airport to pick him up. And I'm picking him up and I'm driving back to Valley Ranch with him and I dropping him off. And the whole time he's telling, man, you guys are paying me a lot of money. I didn't think I was ever going to play again. I didn't know if I wanted to play again. Still don't know if I want to play, but man, you guys are paying me too good of money. $1.5 million at the time to do that. And it just made me madder. When I listened to him talk, it just made me madder and madder and madder. And And so I went into Lacewell's office, and Dave Campo was sitting there. He was all excited about Felipe Sparks. And I just go, Dave, I go, this is a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea. And Dave's like, well, Brian, we can do this with him. And then I go, Dave, this is terrible. This guy didn't want to play football. We're giving him $1.5 million to do nothing. He didn't want to play football for us. He's retired. He doesn't. Jordan Sparks was her name, by the way. I just thought of it here.
Jordan Sparks. Yeah.
Anyway, so we're sitting there, and Dave's like, well, don't worry, Brian. We'll make it work. And I'm like, oh, okay. He walked out of the room. Lacewell looked at me and said, you ever do that again, you're fired. And I said, Lace. He looked at me, he goes, you say another word, you're fired. I go, Lace. He goes, say another word, Brian. I go, Lace. He goes, say another word. and I said, yes, sir. And I walked out of the room, and he, Felipe was nothing for us, did absolutely nothing for us. Yeah. And, but Lace told me, he goes, if a head coach ever wants a player and he's excited about the player, you be enthusiastic along with him.
You hate that.
That's what got me in trouble. To be honest with you, Voch, I'd still be in the league. I really do believe this. If I wasn't hard-headed, outspoken, and just thought I had all the answers.
Sure.
I mean, if I knew right now, and could applied it back then, I would have just kept my mouth shut and closed the door and just let them do what they want. And I would have looked at tape, and when they've asked me my opinion, I'd give my opinion on a player. Yeah, you should sign Charles Woodson. Yeah, Leroy Glover is a really good player. We can sign him. That would be a good get for us. Dan Campbell, that'd be, they were guys that we could, that I could have done that. I could have just done my job, kept my head down, but I fought every damn day. And people got tired of it. They really got tired of it. And Jerry Jones will tell you to this day, he goes, the thing with Brian, he fought Parcells, and Parcells had enough. Parcells did not like me challenging him every day on players. And there were some players that needed to be challenged and others that weren't. And I should have just, I probably would still be in the league right now if I wouldn't have just fought every damn day about it. But that's kind of, your question was, have you ever been silenced? Yeah, I was silenced. They got rid of me because I talked too much. That's when I got silenced.
Well, Brian, you have too much of what they call grit, sir. I would like to feel, with all my youth and vigor, I would, I would take the same approach. I mean, I've even told you here, we're going to have a lot of fights because I'm not just going to bow down to Brian Broaddus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, and you shouldn't, and you shouldn't. And and that's the thing about it is there really comes a time and a place to know the battles and stuff. Sure. I felt like I needed to die on that hill every day. There were things I learned in Green Bay and places I'd been. And, I just was so headstrong in a lot of ways of like when Bill fought me, and everybody knows the story about me and Bill getting into it about Charles Woodson, and I was trying to get us to sign Charles Woodson after the Raiders. And, he went on and played safety and was a Super Bowl MVP. Well, he was the MVP of the league. Even the Super Bowl, he hurt his shoulder, but a big part of what they did. And Bill's like, he's a malcontent. He can't do this. He can't do that. And I'm like, Bill, you need to stop listening to Al Davis. Al Davis has influenced you now where you don't even know the player. And Bill hated that. God, because Al Davis was his best friend. And I'm like, you're listening to Al Davis on this guy. Watch the damn tape. This guy could help us. He could help us. He's a malcontent. He is not a leader. All he did was go to Green Bay and be a captain and all that, it was a great get for Ted Thompson and those guys. But that's the kind of the fight. Now, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't always right.
Sure.
But the fight, people get tired of you fighting them every single day. That was my biggest problem when I was 35 to 45 years old, fighting every day like that.
Man. That question gave us much better content than I thought it was. I thought we was going to get like a 20-second story. That was fantastic, Brian.
Well, no, I mean, I appreciate, me, I'm a long-winded guy, and I just, it gave you a little insight to some of the things that you deal with in player personnel. And when, the question was asked, you've ever been silenced? Sure. And that was the time that I got silenced. Lace threatened to fire me if I said another word. And Bill Parcells eventually got rid of me because I said too many words. I fought too much with him. And, he's a Hall of Fame coach. And I'm a guy with a mic and a camera and enjoying every minute of it.
They gonna have to fire me, bro. You finna threaten me like something finna happen to you, dog. Ray, yo, hey, don't not another word, me, sir.
Yeah.
Por favor.
Yeah. He did. When Lace did that, he goes, say another word. Say another word.
And you kept talking. He wasn't standing on business.
I kept saying his name. I knew I had a chance if I kept saying his name. He goes, say another word. And I'm like, Lace, say another word.
Felipe can't play.
You know what? If I would have said that, my gear would have been packed and I would have been gone. But hey, that's so big. Hey, how do you see this thing turning out, by the way? How do you see this game turning out this weekend?
You probably lose or whatever, but hopefully I think we'll go out and take advantage.
I picked him to win.
Yeah.
I picked him to win. I picked him to win 20-16, and I made a prediction. Hunter Lipke, 4-minute offense. Just keep handing him the ball, kill this thing off in the slog of Heinz Field as the rain is peltering down.
That's too creative. That is too creative for us, Brian Brothers. We are gonna go out and run our hitches and slants, all curls, soul glow, Brian. Yeah, man. I mean, I hope the Cowboys win. I mean, Jerry came out and talked about a soft reset today, so hopefully the players don't hear that and think anything of it and think that we'll just go.
I'll tell you what, man, Voch. If they lose the next 3,
it's gonna roll. Yeah,
you and I are gonna have some. You and I are gonna have some interesting shows.
Sure,
we're gonna have some interesting shows. Not that our show's already interesting, but we'll have some more interesting shows.
Yeah. Hey, I hope y'all are tuned into those interesting shows. Let us know if you like this one. Hit the like, and please, Brian Bars wakes up in the morning at 5:00 when he go do his little walk or whatever. He reading these comments, man. So if y'all got questions, put them down, and he will respond to them.
Hey, at 4:53 this morning, this folks in Texas got an alert about a guy. Did you get that alert this morning?
I got it, but it was 4:50, so I just cut it off. But what happened? What was going on?
No, that thing that I was up actually like at 4:50 reading the comments for the show.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of going through, and that thing went off. And I all I could think of was the phone was going to electrocute me, and I just dropped it. I was laying in bed, and I was sitting there answering a question, and that warning went off.
Yeah.
And I just dropped the phone thinking I was going to get electrocuted or something.
Are we okay? I mean, did they catch the guy? Like, what's going on?
Man, but you know what? The warning made it sound like the guy was in my backyard.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? That thing went off. That thing, he was out in West Texas.
Okay.
The guy was like 5-6 hours from us.
That early in the morning, you thinking, hey, watch out, somebody coming to get you. I got you.
I thought he was knocking on my window or something like that. One of those things. So
boy,
anyway.
bet nobody knock on my window. Hey, man, Brian Bros, I appreciate you for being here, man, working with me, man. It's always an honor and a pleasure. We love y'all for tapping in with us. Y'all be sure to follow me on my socials, VOCHLOMBARD. I'm doing a little more work on there. Y'all be sure to tap into BRY in Broadus. He's also gonna be giving you some fantastic insights on Twitter. All right, y'all hold it down. Until next time, we love y'all to pieces. We'll catch y'all Sunday for our post. Well, yeah, because they
it's 1 in the morning.
Monday.
Monday.
Catch y'all Monday. All right, Crown.